Hello, all you people who watch this, all 7 or whatever that actually watch this thing that I do. It's another video that I'm doing because I am going to be showing Queen, the Bollywood movie, at Eyesore Cinema on Sunday, July 10th. That's Sunday, July 10th at 7 p.m. in the Eyesore Cinema backroom micro cinema. It's one of my backdoor Bollywood Brokeback Mountain Bollywood screening series. So come see it. It's free. I am showing Bollywood movies for free. There's always going to be an intermission. Come see it. It's a delightful movie. I highly recommend it, and you should come see that. So sort of on that note, since with Queen, so far with my Bollywood screening, I've been showing movies like Om Shanti Om, which is a crazy sort of mashup of references and stuff. It's almost like, if you could imagine, like, it seems cliche to say like a Quentin Tarantino Bollywood movie, but it really is like a mashup of different references and plot points and things from other Bollywood movies. Was Om Shanti Om. And then I showed Jodha Akbar, which was a big, gigantic period piece, romantic epic, which luckily people stayed for the 3.5 hours that was. Queen is not 3.5 hours, so don't worry there. It's not a short film, but it's not 3.5 hours. So I would highly recommend coming to see this movie because it is delightful, and it's hard not to watch this movie and have a good time, for me at least. So I'll get to the theme of the stupid video I'm making right now. Part of the theme today will be, or the entire theme, will be Bollywood romantic melodramas. And I'm bringing that up because with Queen, it's not exactly a romantic melodrama, but it is kind of, with this, I'll be sort of dipping my toes into the sort of more sentimental, or like maybe even you could say saccharine side of Bollywood. It's like a heartfelt, heartwarming movie. So I do intend to show some romantic melodramas at some point because I really enjoy them a lot, and I hope you do too. And secretly, not to sound vindictive, but I kind of want to make people cry at my screening. I know I have for some of these movies. There's a movie called Kabhi Kuchi Kabhi Yam that got me really hard. I'm not gonna lie. A lot of them are like really like family-based melodramas, and sometimes that hits a little close for me. So I get a little emotional during them sometimes. So I'll start with shut up and just talk about the movies. Shut up and talk about the movies. I'll start with Hum Dil De Chuk Sanam. Hum Dil De Chuk Sanam. I'm gonna also like qualify that in my previous videos and stuff, I am by no means an expert on Bollywood or anything like that. I honestly only just started getting really like passionately, weirdly obsessed with them in the last like few months. And it's odd for me because I don't normally get obsessed with one country or genre of film and just watch all that. I usually try to like mix up my movies much more, but I guess I went way too many years without dipping too hard into Bollywood, and now I'm making up for lost time. So I'm weirdly just constantly watching them and obsessed with them. But my point being, why I'm qualifying that I'm not an expert, is because I often mispronounce things. I'm probably like even just flat out wrong about some of the stuff I claim during my videos. And I'm just saying, like, when I mispronounce things, please try not to be offended by it. It's not an intentional thing. I'm not trying to belittle Indian or culture or anything like that. I just, when I giggle because I mispronounce a title, it's because I'm laughing at myself, my own stupidity and ignorance. So don't take it personally. But back to the point. Hum Dil De Chuk Sanam. I actually meant to bring up this movie in my last video where I was talking about Aishwarya Rai and Hrithik Roshan for Jodha Akbar, and then I forgot about bringing up this one because it has Aishwarya Rai, and I got really upset with myself, and I was going to redo the whole video just so I could put this in, and then it occurred to me that nobody would care or know that I forgot about this, so why bother? And so I'll talk about it now. Hum Dil De Chuk Sanam is the second movie, I believe, by Sanjay Leela Bhansali, who's a director who I've really come to like. He's pretty fascinating. Or at least his movies are pretty fascinating. I often say about him in like a field of film, which is Bollywood, where most movies are very, like, have a lot of visual flourish to them, look really good. His movies look particularly good. That's his movie playing in the background right now, this one, Hum Dil De Chuk Sanam. But this was, so he did this right before he did Devdas, which I talked about, I don't know, like maybe last time? Yeah, last time. Devdas, amazing film, crazy, beautiful poetry in motion. This movie, he is right before he sort of, I think he developed his particular visual style that he was going for, because his movies seem to change visually after this. This is almost a little more of a traditional film, though it does have like touches of flourish, and you know, if you look at it, it's quite colorful and all that stuff. And there's some interesting like little bits of unique sort of metaphor visually in it. But it is like a sort of three-way romantic melodrama with Aishwarya Rai in the center. Between her, you have Salman Khan and AJ Devon. I think it's AJ Devon or something else. But awesome. AJ Devon's always great. Salman Khan also awesome. So it starts off as you know, she falls in love with him, and then her parents have arranged her to be married to AJ Devon, and you know, drama comes from that. And part of the really interesting thing about this movie is usually in Bollywood melodramas, when there's a romantic triangle, that's sort of not a romantic threesome, that's a different thing. A romantic triangle, usually when one of the members doesn't, you know, get the person they were going for, they tend to take it quite well. They tend to be like, well, that was never my love to have in the first place. It's this other person's. You know, it's hard not to make cuck jokes sometimes with them, but, you know. So basically in this one, it doesn't go so well. There's no easy answer. Like, somebody's gonna be let down hard in it. And that's part of what makes it a really good movie. Beyond just really great performances, the way it unfolds is really good. I would highly recommend watching it. I'm probably never gonna screen it. I do intend to screen a Sanjay Leela Bhansali movie at some point. I don't know which one yet. I mean, Devdas seems like the easiest answer because it is probably his most famous and celebrated movie, but also it's another Shah Rukh Khan starring film, and I've said before, I don't want to just play nothing but Shah Rukh Khan movies, because that would be a really easy trap to fall into for a Bollywood screening series, because he's been in so many bangers. I might do Bajiro Mastani, because partially because it's awesome, and partially because I've heard Grimes say it's one of her favorite Bollywood movies, but mostly because it's awesome. And I'll talk about Jab We Met. Jab We Met. This is a really like cool little romantic melodrama comedy sort of thing. With Jab We Met, the interesting thing, we got screaming kids in the hallways. You know how it is. So, Jab We Met, this movie is kind of like think about it when I watch it. It reminds me like a little bit of that Garden State. You know, when they talk about the manic pixie dream girl thing, but like in this case, it's not just. I know with the whole manic pixie dream girl issue in films, they tend to say it's because the character isn't fleshed out beyond she's just there to save the male character. She's this wacky girl who helps the guy. In this particular case, while she does sort of come across as like the manic pixie dream girl in the beginning, she does become a more fleshed out, much more interesting character as it goes along. And when she's doing her manic pixie dream girl thing, it's very cute and funny because it's Kareena Kapoor playing the main female lead in this, and she does comedy really well. She's like beyond being a really good actress, she does comedic acting really well, and it works great in it. Actually, the two of them married in real life, or at least at the time of this film made. I'm not sure if they're still together. Fingers crossed, those two crazy kids made it. But is shit, I always forget his name. Shahid Kapoor. Shahid Kapoor and Kareena Kapoor together. And yeah, they're really good in this. Little Shahid Kapoor with his, at this point he has a little baby face because he's just a little cutie man. But later now he's like, he looks more like a hard ass. He's leaned up a bit and gotten really buff, so he tends to play a hard ass and stuff now. But back then he was like a little cutie. And then him and Kareena Kapoor. The fun thing about this, sort of, I hope this isn't spoiling too much, but the first half of the movie is sort of like he's like down, he's like a businessman who's on the down outs. He's just like broken by life, and she sort of saves him with her, you know, her attitude towards life and her general like whimsical nature. And then in the second half, he has to save her. So it's sort of this like it does sort of work well as like a relationship on screen, because it's not just a one-sided thing. It's the give and take. It's very, it's kind of beautiful. Great movie, really good. Like for, I recommend it highly. Dil Kaya Kare. This one's great. This is a really good movie. Starring AJ Devon again, who's always awesome. He fucking rules. Although, you know, he's probably like the only Bollywood lead actor hero guy who I would say rules, despite he doesn't dance, like ever. I've never seen him dance in a movie. The most I've seen him in dance is in Singham in the beginning, like opening number. He does this little like claw hands thing because he's a tiger man. He's not really like a half man, half tiger. He just has like the soul of a tiger. But AJ Devon, and he is married to this lady, and they have a kid. I can't remember her name, but she's really good in this. And whenever I see her in something now, I'm happy because she kind of rocked my world in this one. And it's kind of weird to admit, but oftentimes with a woman in, like a female actress in a Bollywood, I tend to rate them on how well they do hysterical. And she does hysterical really well in this one. So they're like a happy family in the beginning, and the kid. And in Bollywood movies, whenever a movie starts with they're such a happy family and they're the envy of their neighbors and everything seems really good, you know that there's stuff below the surface that's gonna come out by the end of the movie. So they're all like happy family, and then Kajol, she shows up with her trademark unibrow. Kajol, she's great actress, and probably the prettiest woman I've ever seen with a unibrow. I'm not traditionally like really into unibrows, but she really makes it work. So she shows up, getting so sidetracked, and starts, you know, showing up around the kid and giving the kid presents and not stopping to talk to the parents and that sort of thing. And nobody really knows who she is. And that is, you know, that's often trouble. So, you know, it gets a little complicated. You gotta figure it out. And it does end up in Bollywood court, which I'm always excited for. Whenever there's a court scene in a Bollywood movie, I get super excited because Bollywood court plays it really fast and loose with the rules. Like, and there's always lots of dramatic reveals with like dun 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 type, like you like crazy reveals. Like, it's the kind of stuff that just you couldn't get away with in real life court. That's for sure. So Dil Kayakari, also highly recommend. Check it out. Not really like a lot of musical numbers. There's one in the very beginning where they're like, we're such a happy family. And I think that might be it. There might be like one other number in it, but that's the majority of it. Dil Hai Tumhara. Dil Hai Tumhara. This is a really good one. I really like this one. I might actually like screen it at some point. Yeah, fuck it. I don't, like, it's tough to gauge how well these romantic melodramas will do with a crowd, but I enjoy it, so maybe somebody else will. Fingers crossed. It stars Preeti Zinta, and oddly enough, the romantic interest more this guy. He's the bad guy from Om Shanti Om, which was my first screening. In this, he's like a hunky, handsome, romantic interest man. As opposed to, again, talking about, like, there's always, like, the triangle. Like, there's, you know, the Preeti Zinta's sister is really into him. And on her end, Preeti Zinta, there's a guy who is really in love with her, but he's, like, you know, a ventriloquist. So he's like her friend from when they were kids, and he's like a lame ventriloquist guy with a dummy. So, like, you know, nobody's rooting for him. In the end, he sucks. But, and honestly, the, like, actor now, whenever I see him and stuff, I'm like, oh, it's the ventriloquist guy from Dil Hai Tumhara. What a lame wad. I don't think ventriloquism's a very good art. So, Dil Hai Tumhara. Highly worth checking out. Sorry to anybody who's watching this who's a ventriloquist. Hamara Dil... Oh, fuck. Hamara Dil Abke Passe. Hamara Dil Abke Passe. This movie's fucking insane. I can never show this. I can never screen this in Toronto. It's way too, like... I don't know if I should spoil the whole plot of this movie, but, like, let's just say it's like a lot of the stuff, like, value-wise is different from the, you know, North American values, especially, like, some more progressive values. It is a very entertaining and wacky movie. Wacky. It deals with a pretty, like it deals with rape and, like, trauma and stuff like that. Like, I'm making it sound more, like, nasty than it is, but it's you gotta, like, keep in mind in India, like, sometimes, unfortunately, if you happen to get raped, you will often also be shunned by your family and, like, the village and stuff, because they have such a screwed up view of those things, even though you're clearly a victim, and, you know, and then dealing with the trauma of it. So I should just shut up before I say more things. Oh, fuck. God damn it, I forget his name. God damn it, it's not on the back. This dude from Rishti, and probably most known, this fella, I want to say he's another Kapoor. I want to say Anil Kapoor. Anil Kapoor? If anybody knows, let me know. Anil Kapoor? We're going to say he's Anil Kapoor for now, and then somebody can correct me when later. Mr. Mustache Man, he's awesome. He has a great mustache. He's always awesome in everything. Probably most known in North America for being in Slumdog Millionaire as the host of Who Wants to Be a Millionaire. He's in this. He's like the world's best man ever. That he's great. There's again another reason I can't show it. There's one scene where he like mansplains to a group of like a feminist protest group why they're doing feminism wrong. it's you know it's not the superest PC thing in 2022 in North America. Aishwarya Rai again. She's great. Again, it's one of those movies that starts with like, we're a happy family, everybody loves us, and all the neighbors are like, we wish we could be in that family. But then, you know, like I said before, anytime a Bollywood movie like comes across, it starts with a super happy family, you know, there's some stuff under the surface that's gonna come out. Yeah, I'm not gonna say anything more. Watch it if you dare, I guess. It's pretty wacky. It's really like, it's so weird because it's so like technically well made and stuff, and there's legitimately really good scenes, and but you know, again, like hard to sell to an audience in Toronto, that sort of thing. I'm never gonna screen it. No, don't worry about it. No way. Not in a million years. I won't even like. Unless you like come to my place and ask me to show it to you, I'm not gonna show it. I'll just talk about a little easier subject, which is parental neglect. Big Band, the caretaker. This movie's really good. Not my favorite like romantic melodrama, but like solid all the way through. Maybe when I was watching, I don't know. Anyway, starring Amitabh Bachchan. Sorry, again, I'm not like meaning to be ignorant about pronunciation or whatever. I just legitimately am not 100% sure on how to say these things, and when I go to the Bollywood bootleg place, the guys can sort of understand what I'm saying and they know what movies to get. When I try to half-ass say the title, they correct me a lot of the time, which thank you guys. They're not gonna watch this video, so don't worry about it. Bag Man, starring Amitabh Bachchan, and Hema Malini. They're like a married couple who have several children, all these kids, like 4 sons, all married with, some of them have their own children. And so they've been like basically like their whole life sacrificing everything for their kids so they could have good lives and all that stuff. And they, so he retires and they have no retirement savings because they've given all their money to their children to make sure everything would go okay, with the assumption that once they retire, their children will look after them. Not so much. There's some trouble there. They separate them and all that stuff. Salman Khan is a small part in this again. Salman Khan is an adopted son who doesn't find out about their hardships until later because he's been in like studying in England or possibly the United States, and he ends up marrying the girl from Dil Kayakare, this girl, who I said earlier, who I got, I'm always happy to see her in a movie. And this one I'm kind of like, I was happy to see her in it, but she's barely in it. Salman Khan's in it slightly more, but again, he's barely in it too. And honestly, most of the movie, he just creepily talks about how he looks at his parents as gods. Constantly. Whenever anybody even remotely brings up his parents, he talks about how he sees them as gods. So, but like in this sort of, Salman Khan sometimes has a weird way of speaking that kind of comes across as a little funky, but which I thought was like, maybe this is like a pretty standard mannerism India or something like that. But I was watching this, I was watching like the Bollywood remake of Hamlet, and the two characters who were basically the stand-ins for Rosencrantz and Guildenstern, whatever their names are, Rosencrantz and Guildenstern, something like that. In Hamlet, they were basically two brothers named Salman and Salman, who were Salman Khan obsessed, and they had a video store that just only rented out Salman Khan movies, and they would do impressions of him, and I'm like, oh, so, you know, like, everybody knows, like, they totally realize that Salman Khan is a bit of a weirdo, too. It's like, it's like, totally accepted and normal. So, you know, that being said, if Salman Khan creepily saying, like, my parents are gods to me, like, then, you know, I mean, he is, like, a sweet boy in this movie, like, and, you know, offers to take them in when they're having a hard time. But the way he says it constantly is funny to me. But I don't know if that's super selling point, because, again, it's not a huge part of this movie. It is a pretty good movie, and some good songs in it, too. So, maybe watch it. But anyway, the point of all this is... come see Queen, Sunday, July 10th at 7 p.m. It's free. There's an intermission. It's a very good movie. Very nice. Not super music and dance scene heavy by Bollywood standards. It is one of the less heavy in that, but there are a couple of bangers in it. So. Worthwhile in that sense. And also, like, starring Kangana Ranaut. I'm gonna figure out how to say things. Kangana Ranaut, great actress. I've seen her in a few things now. While every movie I've seen her in is not great, she is always great in them. She's really good, and this was like a career-defining or career-changing performance for her. This is a big deal in her career, so check it out. Worth watching. Will make your heartstrings tug in all the right ways. So check it out, and I'll catch you at another time, I guess. Bye.